Three, two, one, and we're going live. What's up, everybody? It's Tyler with Hook Sets Are Free. It is Saturday night, September the 9th of 2023. Hope everybody's doing well. It is my regular time, about 5 after 9 p.m. And it has been a couple of weeks since I've been on. So I do apologize for a little bit of absence on my part. I don't know how many people are expecting me to go live tonight or will join in here this evening. But if you're watching on the replay, do me a favor, hit that thumbs up button. Make sure you're subscribed, and let me know what you think of the stuff in this video. This is going to be a lot of repeats from what we had talked about a few weeks back, and I warned you guys about this because all of this showed up at Discount Tackle just a few days after it showed up everywhere else. And I didn't know that it was going to quite that quickly, but that's quite all right. So we'll kind of run through this unboxing in just a few moments here, and then open it up to whatever it is that you guys want to talk about for the rest of the evening. It probably won't be a terribly long session, although I do have a brewski and suburban. So if you guys want to hang out for a while, I am down to, but I don't have a ton on the docket for this evening. But I did just want to show my face and let you know that I apologize for not having been on as regularly as of late, with it being the holiday and my work being a little bit bonkers. I went on with Brendan and Jermaine not that long ago, but I think I've only streamed once in like the last month. So I apologize for that. But Frank, good evening, dude. How you doing, Frank? Good to see you. Kirk, yo, dude. I appreciate the sympathy there. Yeah, is Frank on that night shift tonight or what? You washing buses? What's going on, man? Brendan, life has been good. Life has been busy. Kids are back in school tomorrow. My daughters both start soccer for the fall, which will be super fun. The Denver Broncos host their first home game. Work has been crazy busy for me, but I have managed to sneak in a little bit of fishing as well. So we can talk about that maybe right after this unboxing. I've gone night fishing twice in the last week or so, and it went well. So I'm happy about that. Midwest Fisherman, good evening. How are you doing? What are you talking about, Brendan? You're going to ride a bull tonight? You're going to drink a Red Bull or you're going to ride a bull tonight? Are you kidding me? Isn't it like 11 o'clock p.m. your time? Why would you be riding bulls in the middle of the night, dude? That sounds absolutely bonkers. Yeah, you Canadians, you're very prompt. I appreciate that. Speaking of Keen, I just picked up some new work boots that are made by the brand Keen, and I look forward to wearing them. So cheers, everybody. I'm drinking one of my favorite beers of all time. This is the Odell Drumroll Hazy Pale Ale. It's got a lot of the flavor profile that you would want out of a hazy pale ale or even an IPA, but is a little bit lower alcohol content. I believe it's right in the low to mid fives, 5.3%. Doesn't hit too hard, but it is hoppy, a little bit fruity, and super delicious. So cheers. We're going to go ahead and break into this puppy. Of course, the one time I do have a knife on me, I don't need it because it's this style packaging, but I'm still going to use it. I found a knife on me, or I found a knife today at the fishing spot that I took my 2-year-old to. We did not catch anything, unfortunately. It was bad conditions there. Water was super low and dirty, and it was crowded. So all those things combined do not work out well. But this knife was sitting there on the bank where we ended up fishing. So I'm not super mad about that. Now, it's not a high-end knife, but I'll take what I can get. I don't mind finding a free knife. It's a Kershaw. What do they call it? Speed safe. So kind of cool. It's got a little notch right here. And that's one way to hurt yourself. But not a bad little knife. So we are open, and there's not a ton of stuff in here. But as I said, we can kind of fly through it. This has been the standard sticker of the last, month or 3. I spent a whopping $104 on this order. Most of it you already have seen, but let's get into it. Oh, Brendan, you're at the rodeo right now and you're going to ride? Dude, sick. That's pretty sweet. Oh man, bluegill slapping the pads. Sucks to miss a bunch on the frog, but fun to have them try to eat it. You know what I mean? Hey, Midwest fisherman, I totally understand and appreciate that comment. So thank you for your boys taking down the Chiefs the other night. That was pretty sweet. We appreciate it. I think all teams in the AFC appreciate it, but especially those of us in the AFC West. So thank you very much. I actually don't know what the Gamakatsu EDC is. Do tell, Kirk. What is that? Matt, nice. You just got to work doing a little night shift security action. All right. So, first bait, and we went through all of these a couple weeks back, but these are the Megabass BFS baits, okay? And actually, since Brendan is riding a bull soon, let me just show the one bait that he might actually have a little bit of interest in before he dips out of here. Because otherwise, it's all BFS baits, but Discount Tackle has got all of the Optimum or some of the Optimum Boom Boom swim baits in stock. And this is one of my favorites of all time. It's the Baby Boom Boom weedless swim bait. This is a 4.5-inch swim bait that goes really well on just like a 4-aught owner beast hook. This color here is called Jackson Trout, and it is beautiful. So the Boom Boom Shad swim baits are hand poured and are super soft. They're collapsible. This color pattern is gorgeous. It's very translucent, but it's got a natural kind of green pumpkin back and a purple sheen to it. The underside is completely hollowed out so that you can run a hook probably as large as a 6-aught into this bait, but I prefer more like a 4-aught. It'll come out just behind the fins here and collapses really well. You really do not need a bigger hook than that. But look at how soft this thing is. And thin. This is one of the original swim baits. The original Boom Boom is a 6-inch bait, and all sizes of the Boom Boom from the baby at 4.5 up to the Papa Boom Boom, which I believe is a 9-inch bait. Maybe it's just an 8. All swim the same way, and they've got a unique head wag to them that now more and more baits on the market actually do have that type of action, but this was one of the first ones to do it, and it's got a tremendous action. Not a super aggressive tail kick, but you can swim it at pretty slow speeds. So I really, really like this bait, and only had one or two colors of it. And so when Discount Tackle got them, I figured I would grab a color while I was at it. And I had not tried the Jackson Trout color. Jackson happens to be the name of Fred Rumbanis's son. And so it was probably named after him, Jackson Rumbanis, if you didn't know that. But one pack of the Baby Boom Boom swim baits. I believe these were $8.99 for the pack of 3. So pretty good deal there. Would recommend them to anybody, whether you've used them before or not. The packaging has changed ever so slightly. You can see it used to have this yellow back. Now it's got a black back, but fantastic bait there. Okay. Brendan, do you actually throw the Baby Boom Boom? Do you throw any of the Boom Boom swim baits or no? Yeah, Kirk, it is a really good swim bait. Not just good looking, but the action is fantastic. Especially if you've got a weighted beast hook on it. It runs super true, and I definitely like it. So throwing that Max Scent General, huh? Yeah, it has been a pecking type of season, type of year. Or should I say it's that time of year where the fish are active. So you're gonna get a bunch of panfish playing with your more subtle style baits, and you will get more reaction bites out of the bass. So we can talk a little bit more about that as we get into it, after we get done with the unboxing and into talk about fishing and what's been going on for me recently. But I also had a bunch of panfish pecking at my baits today when I was out with my son, and can be frustrating for sure. Interesting. Yeah. I have not actually tried that, but Boom Boom does make the line through versions of those baits as well. And I believe they make them in like a 5, 6, and maybe even an 8-inch. But okay, Baby Pop X. I had this in like a see-through color, and I will say, just to take you back in time, I purchased all of these baits originally from the Hookup Tackle because they were the first ones to get these baits in, and they started flying out the door, and I was nervous that they might be the only retailer to have them in for a while, and I was nervous that they would sell out. So I jumped on it and made an order before everything sold out, but I did not get my first pick on color selection. Still got some good ones, but then Discount Tackle got all these baits in stock the next week. So I went back and picked out kind of what would have been my very first choices with all of these colors. So the Pop X is a fantastic popping style bait. I prefer the small guy than the Pop Max. I prefer the Pop X, which is a 1/4 ounce, maybe a 5/16 ounce bait. The Pop Max is quite a bit bigger at either 3/8 or a 1/2 ounce, and is a much larger size bait. So this little dude should be awesome for trout or for bass, or even potentially for panfish. I think almost all of these baits weigh in at 3/16 of an ounce. These hooks are actually a little bit more substantial than you would think. You've got a different size hook on them. So that middle hook is quite a bit bigger than what you get out of the back hook. These do not have the reverse barbs on them like you'd get out of their jerk baits. So I want to say you get like a size 6 hook in the front and a size 8 or even a 10 in the back, which will prevent it from tangling up, or maybe it just barely will tangle, but not frequently. So who knows? I might play around with the hooks there, but as you can see, that stuck me pretty easily. So matte shad is one of my all-time favorite colors from Megabass, and I've got it in most of their baits. Now, I also got one other color in the Baby Pop X because I think that this bait overall, moving forward, is going to be a good producer for me. So I wanted to have kind of a little bit of everything. So from a clear pattern to a matte pattern to then more of a traditional, not necessarily because of the gloss, but like a bone type of color. This is called Bahama Milk Pearl, and it does have all of that color shift on it, but it is just a bone / pearl white type of color pattern. So not mad about that, but it is going to look a little bit different in all light conditions. So 2 of the Baby Pop X to start it out. And then moving on, staying at top water, got one in the Dog X Junior Kawaii in this Wicked color. It also is a little bit bonish. They call it White Python. I almost can't remember what the original color is that I had gotten, whether it was more of a chromey type of color or if it was matte shad. But regardless, in topwater baits, I prefer to have something for low light when the skies are still clear. I want something that's going to stand out, and this will do that. And then I want something like a matte shad for when it's cloudy. So not traditional low light, but cloudy conditions, or something a little bit more subtle. And then when it's sunny, I do prefer something a little bit more translucent, whether it's a bluegill or a shad type of pattern. So anyway, this is the White Python color. I like it, but perhaps don't love it as much as I thought that I would. But who cares? Color can be overrated. This also has a little bit of a color shift to it. You can see that purple popping out on the belly. So anyway, then we got 3 jerk baits. One in the X80 Junior. This is just a downsized version of the Trick Darter. I believe this one is a 1/4 ounce. So the heaviest in the series of the BFS baits from Megabass. The rest, I believe, are 3/16, but this is the X80 Junior. This guy runs pretty shallow, but is a suspending bait and does have a very erratic action. Still has that weight transfer system, but pretty high-pitched sound. So anyway, you get a bit more body with this one than with this next one, which is the X70, which is quite a bit smaller, and doesn't quite have the presence of the X80. So what do you know? Did get this in the matte shad. Pretty sure I didn't already have that in matte shad, but if I did, I suppose I might give one of these away. But I think before I only got one color in each of these baits, and matte shad was not on the list for this dude. So at this point, I've got at least 3 of these BFS baits in the matte shad. Just goes to show that it is arguably my favorite Megabass color. And again, just to show you, like I did a couple weeks back, you can see that the profile is pretty different between these 2 baits. Much taller in the X80 Junior and much slimmer in the X70, but same is true for the width of the bait. Much fatter with the X80 than what you get out of the X70. And the action is different. The bills are different as well. So the X70 is going to run a bit more shallow. And it, I think, will perform quite a bit better on more of a straight retrieve, and could even upsize the hooks on this guy. But I definitely see myself throwing this on a straight retrieve in a lot of situations where I used to fish ultralight jerk baits and still do, but I used to throw them exclusively on spinning gear when pursuing trout. And I am excited to be using my BFS setup to pursue those fish and use a bait caster to go after trout of all species, whether it's rainbow, brown, maybe brook, but probably rainbow, brown, and lake trout primarily. And I'm excited to put some of these new Megabass baits to the test in that category, where I used to really kind of have my exclusive favorites, and now I feel like I'm really leveling up my game in terms of the types of baits that I'm going to use. And I'm excited that Megabass is allowing me to venture into that territory. So this color is just labeled baby trout, but boy, is that gorgeous. It's a very translucent color pattern. Not that you can tell in this light, but it's only the weighted section of the body on bottom that you cannot see through. So from about the head to 2/3 of the way through, the weight is filling the belly, but otherwise you can see all the way through the bait, and you get quite a bit more color in this one, despite it being super translucent. So baby trout and matte shad are the colors that I got in the X70. GLX Spawn Cherry is what I got in the X80. White Python in the Dog X Junior Hawaii. And Bahama Milk Pearl and matte shad in the Baby Pop X. So 6 BFS baits from Megabass and 1 pack of the Baby Boom Boom weedless swim baits is what I picked up this month from Discount Tackle. If you're interested in checking out any of those or just anything else at Discount Tackle in the near future, use the link that I provided in the description of this video. My affiliate link is listed there, but maybe we can just quickly go take a quick peek at Discount Tackle. I'll show you what is new there and what I've got my eye on, because it is that time of month where I need to purchase my order for this month and have not done that just yet. I've loaded my cart multiple times, but Discount Tackle has adjusted their cookies to where everything disappears in like a day or two. So watch this. When I refresh this, ooh, it still has what I had in there from last night, which is different than what I just showed you. So anyway, let's go to the new arrivals. Make sure that this looks okay on your end. Drop myself down there and show you that what's new at Discount Tackle. It changes a couple times a week. Okay, so what jumps out to me are these 2 new Z-Man baits. These are brand new from iCast. So the TRD Gobies, pretty cool. It's not pre-rigged, which I'm kind of excited about. So you'll be able to throw it on a drop shot, a Jika rig, or a Ned rig, kind of however you want to fish it, or you can just throw it on a straight swim bait head and swim it because of that paddle tail. So pretty cool. And they've got half of the colors still in stock. Well, actually not. Looks like 6 are out of stock. 4 are still in stock. So those are going quick. I'm going to need to place my order ASAP if I want those from Discount Tackle. They've also got the new Chatter Spike bladed jig trailer. in stock as of this week. And same deal, 5 are out of stock, 5 are in stock right now. So there seem to be a lot of people that are on it and doing exactly what I'm doing in checking what comes in stock on a regular basis at Discount Tackle. And you can see immediately these are on sale for over 20% off, right? They retail at $5 a pack. They're $3.74 right now. That is a hella good deal. So that's a wild looking bluegill color. Not exactly what I would consider bluegill, but interesting. I definitely like the hot snakes color. Love their black and blue, although this is a black blue laminate, which is different than their traditional black and blue. I was hoping to maybe get this one, the deal. Like if you look in my cart, you'll see some of the stuff that was in stock yesterday. The deal in the Chatter Spike and Copper Truce in the TRD Gobies are no longer in stock now. So disappointing, but part of the deal. You can also see that I had the Baby Boom Boom in another color loaded up in my cart. Just this straight up like bone pearl white. Here are the other colors that they've got, and they're all in stock right now, which is pretty sweet. This money color looks pretty sick. We've actually got a Junebug color, Brendan. And then you guys saw me open the Jackson Trout, which looks quite a bit more translucent in person than it does in that picture there. I'm sure the Ghost Minnow does as well. So, couple other new baits are mostly from Z-Man, right? So the TRD Gobies, the Chatter Spike, they do have the Core Tackle jig heads. This swim bait hook could be useful, especially in their bigger sizes. Look, they've got a 7/0. Well, it's sold out already, but 2/0, 4/0, 7/0. The 4/0 is in stock right now. That'll allow you to just run your weight inside the bait. So here you see they've got it rigged on like what bait is that? That's like a Scottsboro tackle swim bait. And then moving on, what other baits? The Z-Man Micro Goat. I'm probably going to jump on this. This is another BFS style bait, but it's a mini-sized version of the goat, even smaller than the baby goat. So this is a 1.75-inch bait. And again, most of these are already sold out. I'm telling you guys a little bit late. There are 4 colors in stock right now. Pink, chartreuse, blue glimmer sparkle, and orange. But so not perhaps the ideal colors, but still worth a try. They've got that new Shimano jerkbait, the Zumverno, in stock, and the Ember, more like a shad style jerkbait. Rattling drop shot weights, Zal Dangerous, or just the Dangerous swim bait. Kanata +1, some other Megabass baits. The Shimano World Rush, which is their flash boost technology put into a square bill crankbait, which is pretty sick. I wonder how that actually looks in person. Oh, only one color in stock, Sexy Shad. Unfortunate to see that. I'm going to mute that just so that we can see what this bad boy looks like. Hardcore wobble. Oh, and you see just how much it rolls. I'm sure we can't see to our eye, but the fish definitely have better vision than we do. I'm sure that thing is flashing like crazy. So in sunny conditions, something like that flash boost technology could really make a difference. Perhaps. Oh, On the pause, there's an idea. Why didn't I think about that? I mean, that's really all I did think about when I first saw the technology and thought, okay, jerkbait and popper, that's going to be the deal. So, what else? The Z-Man jerk shads in the middle size, 3.5 inch. So, or I shouldn't say middle because that's smaller. They've gone down from the 4 inch. I don't think there is a 3. So this is now their smallest size. It's a little bit closer, but even a little bit smaller than the size that is the um, Strike King Baby Z2, which I talk about all the time and is one of my all-time favorite soft plastic jerk baits. And then there are the BFS baits from Megabass that I just showed you. Believe most colors are still in stock, but you got 8 out of the 12 on the popper. What about on the walking bait? We got 10 out of the 12. Sorry, the white python's not available. Not my fault. What about that baby trout? That's what I just showed you guys. Freaking awesome color. It's in stock. Almost every color. The other two baby, the bluegill and the baby gill, are out of stock, but the other 10 are in. So if you're interested in any of the Megabass BFS baits, go check out Discount Tackle, scoop them up. As I told you, they've got the Boom Boom line through, the 4.5-inch weedless, and then the Optimum Opti Shad, which I've heard is a sleeper bait, but one that I just have not developed much confidence in. So anyway, I like to regularly check out what is new at Discount Tackle. At this point, we're going back, about a month to 6 weeks when you're seeing some of these JDM Megabass baits, the Yamatanuki in its smallest size, the Jackal Bounty Fish in its smaller size, and some jigs and other stuff from Missile Baits and Picasso. So, always a good idea to check out what is new at Discount Tackle and what is currently on sale. So, Z-Man is 25% off right now. Ordinarily, it's 20%. I guess that is the current sale that they're running. Yo-Zuri, 20% off. Yeah, maybe that's a little bit more than normal for them, but a lot of brands are just always on sale and a good deal. So might want to poke around. Last week was Strike King, and we're back. No, I didn't love it. It was too loud, man. Matt, what bait are you talking about? Let me catch up on the comments. I apologize. Oh, Brendan says he doesn't think the Chatter Spike is a good trailer. Why not, dude? Bruce, my man, good evening. How are you doing? Yeah, the Gobi should be good. I'm excited about at least seeing how it runs. Um, with that big body and that boot tail, I think it's going to be a good bait, especially when rigged multiple ways, because you can swim a drop shot. That's one thing that I don't do quite frequently enough, because I don't want to straight swim it the entire time. But with it being a Lastech, you should be able to do it on more of a stop and go, or more slowly pulling it and it not swimming weird. I'm excited to mess around with that bait a little bit. We'll see. JP, my man, what's up, dude? Yeah, the deal is the deal. No joke. Nice, man. Yeah, the Spunk Shad is a good trailer, but perhaps not my favorite unless you're fishing the bait fast or a little bit deeper. I find that it makes the bait run a little bit deeper than I want and does not give it enough drag. It does have a nice action behind it, but I find that I have to fish the bait a little bit faster in order to keep it in the depth that I am used to. So I've had to change my retrieve speed relative to other trailers with the Spunk Shad. Brennan, I'm sorry, dude. Or Brendan, Matt. And Matt, I should have commented on the fact that you changed your channel name. South Jersey Fisherman? Not anymore. Matt quit fishing. He retired and now he just reviews baits. South Jersey Bait Reviews. Just kidding. Matt still fishes a lot, just as much as most of us. More than me. Okay. What did you say about it? Okay. Tackle Warehouse has more of the Shimano Square Bills in stock. Roger that. I'm sure that Discount Tackle will soon enough, but it's just relatively new at Discount Tackle and probably not easy to restock frequently. Although Tackle Warehouse is very good at restocking colors, typically speaking. So keep in mind, if you're interested in the Shimano Square Bill with that flash boost technology and you're willing to fork up the dough, go check out Tackle Warehouse if you don't just want that sexy shad color that Discount Tackle has in stock. But Brendan says he doesn't like the chatter spike. He either wants the chatterbait to have a big profile, like a big spunk shad, like that 5.5 inch, or I want it to hunt like a Zoom double tail spinner tail or spinnerbait trailer. Interesting. Did you end up buying the split tail grub from Z-Man over at Discount Tackle or no? I think you said you were going to, but I don't know if you did. Matt's done fishing, guys. He's all done. Yeah, Kamikaze Swim On is a good one. Mark, what's up, dude? I wonder why. Do you have any idea why? I mean, it's tempting, but I also don't like spending that much money on a spinning reel. So I can't say that I'm like super eager to jump on that. You know, I'm not done with my beer, but I do kind of want some bourbon. So if anybody has any bourbon to drink, join in with me. We're back at it with the Old Forester 1920. I found another bottle of this. You guys watched me drink some of this like a month or 6 weeks ago, and I was loving it. Ended up like finishing the bottle with you guys one night, but I found another bottle last week and couldn't help it. I had a fantasy football draft and was out of beer and booze. And so right before the draft, I ran over to the liquor store closest to my house to grab some beers and just grabbed a 6-pack of these guys. And before I went to check out, I walked down the bourbon aisle and guess what? This guy was staring right at me. Oh, look at that. I wasted a couple drops. So Old Forester 1920, absolutely delicious. Oh, okay, Brendan, no worries. I'm not trying to rush you or force you to make an order using my link or anything like that. I just remember you being so excited about the idea of the split-tailed trailers existing in Laztech, and it's not like Discount Tackle is the only place that sells them. So if you want to buy them elsewhere, if you're going to make an order from another place already, then by all means. But yeah, my link is in the description of this video. So if anybody wants to make an order at Discount Tackle, feel free. Yeah, Caro, I did. I might have gotten a little bit wild on this bourbon, didn't I? Was I saying some crazy shit that night? I think I was. I mean, what can you do? Jermaine was up late and he was poed up. So I decided to join him. That's funny. Kyle, are you or Matt doing the giveaway tomorrow? Who's doing the giveaway? Matt. Those DRT VTS 5s work really nice behind a chatterbait. I believe you. Interesting. However, those baits are not very durable as it is, so I would be nervous to be throwing those on the back of a chatterbait. And I don't know if I have the VTS 5s. I think I've only got the VTS 7s. But I believe you. Yeah, I've only got the 7s. Oh, with that inline tail, I'm sure that's wicked, dude. So this is more like what Brendan should be throwing on a chatterbait, right? He wants that big fat profile. So between that and the Depths Sakamata shad, I really need to be throwing these baits ASAP. We are officially like in fall fishing, and the fish are starting to get aggressive and are chasing bait. So, we're at that time of year where bait tends to be either big or small, and you can catch them either way. So it's good to be prepared both ways. And I need to remember to throw a fluke as well as an oversized walking bait this time of year. Oh, shit. Mark is fishing and found the live. So you're fishing right now, and you just so happen to be on YouTube as well, and watching me talk about baits while you're fishing. That's kind of cool. Although, what are you using that that makes you available to just hang out and watch on your phone and not be actively fishing, dude? What are you doing? Kyle, retail on this dude is like anywhere between 60 and $70 most places. You might be able to find it a little bit cheaper than that, but it is one of their nicer and more difficult to find. They're not quite allocated, so depending on where you live, you should be able to find it more easily some places than others, but it has become quite a popular bourbon over the last couple of years, and it's quite nice. So, they make a couple of other versions, like the 1910 is a bit cheaper, and it's not nearly as strong. It's more like 100 proof instead of 115, but it is significantly cheaper in the like $40 range. So kind of just depends on what you like. But this 1920 is a sleeper. Well, not any longer, but it is fantastic. I'll say that. Delicious. Oh, you're right, Brendan. That night I did go all life coach on you guys. Um, yeah. Very- Thanks for the reminder. I can do that from time to time. If ever you guys want life advice, you reach out to me either during the stream or separately. I am willing to listen and give advice where it's asked for. Sometimes I guess I give it when it's not necessarily asked for, but yeah, I don't have to be drunk to be a good friend. All right. Really? You caught 4 fish on one of them as a chatterbait trailer before it tore up? That's pretty good, dude. I'm impressed with that. Kirk says, "Go big." Yeah. Well, what big baits are you throwing this time of year, Kirk? Tell me what you've got tied on or what you are looking forward to throwing that you haven't just yet. I'm looking forward to throwing this Matt Shad, not quite Matt Shad, but essentially Clash 9. Has not seen the light of day. As you can tell, you would be able to see the scratches if it had been, but needs to be thrown. This was the Saki Bomber color from the hookup tackle. You can see that it was that exclusive collaboration between the hookup and DRT. And I just have not timed it right and also not gone out of my way to just force the issue with the Tiny Clash this year. And I believe that's probably a mistake, but it is that time of year for me to stop messing around. You know what I'm saying? That's a great question, Midwest Fisherman. I think I've only thrown the donkey rig like twice. Uh, but you're absolutely right. I always throw um, 3 flies when I'm fly fishing. It's very rare that I only throw 2. Well, I suppose if I'm throwing a streamer, um, like a big bait fish imitator on a fly rod, that's a single fly, but that's a different deal. But a hopper dropper setup, so a dry fly on top and a dropper below, I will frequently throw 2 flies, if not 3 in that setup. But then usually I'm using a strike indicator and a 3 fly setup. So, um, yeah, it's not a foreign concept to me. I think I've only actually rigged up the donkey rig once or twice. And I think it's a great idea, but I don't have a lot of experience with it. I think it's a fantastic idea for when the fish are schooled up and chasing schools of bait. So, in my experience, it's this time of year or anywhere from now until a month from now that the bait will really start balling up and doing wild stuff, and you will just see bass come through the middle of those schools, and that is a fantastic time to throw something like that where you've got 2 baits working together in unison, um, and I think it could be absolutely money, but I don't have a lot of experience with it. Kyle, I live in Colorado. I don't know if you're talking about me, but yeah, I would recommend it for sure. Again, Old Forester 1920. It's 115 proof and very delicious. It does have a classic bourbon taste that is it's sweet, right? But not in a like a maker's mark sort of way. Uh it almost has a little bit more like cinnamon than it has cherry on it. Um and it's got a lot of oak on the back end and it bites back as it should for 115 proof. But I drink it neat every time. I prefer it that way. If anything, I might throw an ice cube in it for like a minute just to cool it down a hair and dilute it by like a minuscule amount. But I would never drink it on ice. So, Bruce, that's an interesting perspective, dude. I sometimes think like that. Um, where I'll start converting like, oh, well, I already spend this much amount of money on these things. Like I did that today. At work, I've been using a lot of tools. Um, and so I've become kind of a tool junkie in the way that I always have been the last 5 to 10 years about fishing lures. And I remember telling somebody recently how crazy it was that, I'm sometimes given a hard time that my budget is in the ballpark of $100 per month for fishing gear, and that can fluctuate and can go up, but is usually about that. And that my brother often spends a significant amount of money, way more than that, 10 plus times more than that on bourbon. And yeah, I had the thought the other day, like, imagine if I started having a tool budget of $100 a month, just how much I could accumulate over the course of a couple of years um, in tools that could be useful for my job. Um, kind of silly, but I hear you, Bruce. Makes perfect sense to me. Definitely recommend it. Okay, you're catfishing right now, dude. Nice. Oh, you've got a Surface Pro? You've actually got like a decent screen. Well, hello. Um, that's cool, dude. I'm the only one looking on a 13-inch laptop screen, looking at myself in a StreamYard window that is like 5 inches big. You guys are all probably watching on something a little bit bigger if it's not your phone. But what I'm looking at is about the size of a phone. And so I never quite know what it looks like to other people when they're watching on the TV or on something a little bit bigger. But good luck, Mark. Hope you're catching something right now. Hope you manage to catch a catfish tonight, dude. Would you keep it if you catch it? Saki Bomber, Matt Shad, both are delicious. Let's see how close they are. Saki Bomber. Wow, did not get hooked in the least. Matt Shad. Oh, the hookup just straight up copycat, yo. What is that? The hookup loves Matt Shad. They needed this color so bad from DRT that they just had him make Matt Shad. I mean, I love it so much too, so I can't blame him. All right, Kirk, who goes big, is going to definitely be throwing some glides and mag drafts once the weeds die back a bit more. Yeah, the weeds are still a little bit high, but the fish are getting aggressive. Maybe you just need to fish those same baits a little bit higher in the water column than you would typically and see if you can get bit that way. Um, I know, Matt, I do need to throw the Tiny Clash. Thank you for telling me. What? Brendan, you got to be 21 to ride the bull. That is unfortunate. I'm sorry to hear that. Um, that's weird, man. What? So you could be smoking cigarettes. You could be voting for our next president of the United States, but you can't drink alcohol and you can't ride a bull. Uh, you've been driving vehicles on the highway for 2+ years now, and you can't ride a bull yet? Dude, that's ridiculous. What? Brendan, donkey rig with Tiny Clash? Wonder how that would work. Probably not very well. Obviously lip out, but interesting for sure. Is that a fact, JP? Chatterbait with no skirt and a Sakamata shad as a trailer. That's a great idea. Yep. Not surprised to hear that. Well, I'm with you on that, Brendan, but we probably use slightly different tools. But yeah, quality tools. I'm with you there, dude. Wait a second. Kyle, do you have to be 21 to buy cigarettes now? Is that a fact? Uh, I haven't heard of that. Oh, Brendan, stop it. Oh, yeah. You want to see the teeth marks? You're funny, dude. I had no idea. Is that nationwide? Do you have to be 21 to buy cigarettes? Because if so, I'm not mad about that at all. Um, but I did not know that. Trump passed it. Wow. How did I not know that? Just goes to show how much I don't care about politics and how old I am and how long it's been since I've been able to purchase nicotine products. But I thought it was 18. What? So does that include other nicotine products as well, just everything, or is it cigarettes? I mean, what about like this little dude here, or the like chewing tobacco or nicotine pouches? All. Yes, okay. I had no idea. Very cool. I am not mad about that. Think it's probably good for young people to not have that be as trendy of a thing in high school, for sure. Another two bait rig idea. Drop shot with a Ned rig. Yeah, no, for sure. Call that the drop dead Ned. Um, that is a thing. So it's not an idea from you, but it does exist, and it's a good idea. Now you'll get the drop shot, or you'll get the Ned rig hung up a little bit more frequently than you would with a drop shot weight, depending on the type of weight that you're using. That's why different drop shot weights exist, right? To use in different types of bottom structure that you're fishing around. Um, but if you're fishing in and around sand or relatively open water, um, I would recommend it. It's a good idea. You should do it, but it's not a concept that has caught on, and I still don't remember to do it nearly as often as I ought to. Even though I've got a million Ned rig heads, I still throw a single bait. Um, Now, it's not like a fish eating a bobber or a strike indicator on top. Um, you don't get as many fish that would see the drop shot bait and then go down and eat the Ned rig instead. It's just you're actually targeting two different types of fish by throwing that double rig. So if you don't know how the fish are relating, then it doesn't hurt to do that. But um, if you know that fish are suspended or are feeding up, then a drop shot is the preferred way to go. But I wonder, like bed fishing, with that double rig would probably be an awesome idea, and fire fish up that much more. You'd probably catch them a lot quicker by doing that. So that's a great little reminder to do that next year, perhaps. Wait, Kyle, so you can't buy cigarettes at 18, but you can buy weed at 18, if you've got a medical marijuana card. That's crazy. And JP makes a fair point. If you're 18 and you're old enough to go to war, you should be able to buy cigarettes, ride a bull, smoke weed, whatever an adult wants to do. I agree with that. I'm with you on that for sure. That said, when it comes to the development of the brain of a young person, I think all of those decisions should be made later in life. And so, I would be in support of everything being pushed back to 21. I don't think 25 is a good idea, even though that's when your brain is technically fully developed. Um, I just think you should wait a little bit longer. I do think 21 is probably the right middle ground for all of that, including being drafted and going to war. But Brendan, I think it's probably wise that you do not. I'm sure you're qualified, dude. And I think it's best that you do not smoke or vape. I'm glad that you don't already, and I recommend that you stay strong and do not. Whoa, Bruce. 1,000 milligram? What? What? Matt, that's cool. So only 0. That's good. Guggen Slayer, what's up, dude? Good evening. Hope you're having a good night. Yeah, that's true. We are living in a goofy time. Yeah, no, I'm sorry if I made it come across that way, but I definitely think two bait rigs are a good idea. I just think a lot of them aren't super feasible in terms of how they act in the water. But those two, the donkey rig with the fluke and the drop dead Ned, are totally viable and underused techniques that most people just don't want to spend the time to rig it up or don't remember to throw or have never heard of it, right? For me, it's some combination of the first two of those three. But yeah, I appreciate you bringing it up and bringing it to the front of my mind so that I do remember to do it sooner than later. What? Brandon, you should be allowed to ride a bull, dude. Rodeo's not over tonight, though, is it? Yeah, don't start asking Matt about technical stuff when it comes to vaping or marijuana. Dude knows his stuff and surely is picky about what he uses and how and why. So let's not pretend like any of us could change his mind or convince him to do something different. So I went fishing twice this past week. Forgot to tell you guys about that, but went out night fishing at a spot that I historically have had mixed success night fishing at, but this time of year tends to be better. And it was, but it took me a little bit of time to cycle through. So I I went out there with like 4 or 5 different techniques all tied on, 4 different rods, right? So I had a walking bait, I had a wake bait, I had a plopper, and I maybe it was a popper or maybe it was like a chatterbait. Um, and just wanted to try to cover water pretty quickly and figure out what might do it for them. I had talked to somebody the last time I had been out there, and they told me that they were catching fish right as the sun was going down and were chasing fish, whether it was um, largemouth or wipers that were blowing up. They were throwing at blowups and then using a walking style bait. I think this guy was using like a Berkeley cane walker and catching fish that way. And so I was hoping that the same might work out for me, but there were not very many blowups by the time I got there. I got there like an hour after sunset and then fished for a few hours after that. And they were not blowing up on top. They were not aggressively eating on top. And it wasn't until I got to the wake bait that I got my first bite, about an hour in. And it was again on the Strike King KVD 2.5 wake bait. Uh, Last year, this was an excellent bait for me. And this year, it has been a good one as well. So, you know, I always keep a couple spares, but it was this bait. So it's the 2.5 square bill crankbait body with a hard knock rattle inside it and that aggressive waking style bill on the front of it. I was throwing it that night in the bluegill color. I wish I would have brought the 2 baits down here that I was throwing that I caught fish on, but they're sitting up in the garage right now, and I meant to bring them down, but didn't. I'll show you guys on the next live stream. But it took me cycling through a bunch of different techniques to actually get bit, and it was on that bluegill colored, which is a very translucent color for Strike King. It's mostly gold with a little bit of like a pearlescent blue on it, and it's totally transparent. And it was a few days after the full moon, so the moon was pretty full still, and the fish were chewing for a short window of time. So in about an hour, I managed to catch 6 fish on this same bait in on the same stretch of water on a riprap bank that was probably a quarter mile long. And couple good ones, nothing huge on that bait. Let me see if I have any pictures. I mean, I have some pictures, but if any are worthwhile showing. Not necessarily. My camera was goofing up that night. I did not have live photos set up. Whoops. So the focus was out of whack, but most of the fish that I caught that night were small to medium size. Want to say average of 2 pounds. 1 or 2 that were a little bit bigger than that, but probably not pushing much bigger than 3, and 1 or 2 that were small fish. And then I went out like the very next night, and because I knew that they were eating the wake bait, I had the same bait tied on, but in a different color, knowing that I wanted a little bit more pop to the color. So I threw on that same bait, but in a bonish type of color that Strike King calls oyster, and then was throwing the Spro Rat, and it turns out that the Spro Rat was the ticket that night. And I caught a couple fish that were over 3 pounds that night, and a couple fish that were tiny. Look at that. This fish was like the same size as the rat, not much bigger. And this dude ate the wake bait. Couple more rat eaters. And so you can see that's a decent fish right there. And then a little guy. But this guy was confused.
Just caught this big boy. And he's acting all confused. He's biting me.
So that fish was I released it, and it how often does that happen to you, that you release a fish and it just does, like, it's out of its mind and comes right back to the bank and just buries itself like in the rocks, and it just acts like it's on drugs or something. Um to where then you can literally either re-net or re-grab that fish. That's what happened with that fish. But anywhere anyway, yeah, I caught maybe a half a dozen to upwards of 10 fish each of those nights. Finally dialed in the wake bait bite. And so we're at that time of year. I mentioned this when we were talking on Brendan and Jermaine's podcast like 2 weeks ago, that it is right about this time of year where it's either hottest time of year, so mid to late summer, and you wait until the coldest part of the day, which is usually late night or early morning. And that's when a wake bait, a rat, a crawler style bait works really well. Um, or get off the crawler and get onto the wake bait, and maybe something that moves a little bit faster to catch them as we start to transition into the fall and where fish are chasing. So, uh, turns out the rat was a little bit more effective than the wake bait. I just didn't have it with me and didn't think to try it that first night. It was really the wake bait that was the only thing they would eat that first night. And then I was able to evolve the pattern into throwing the rat the next night. And I throw a rat quite a bit slower than I do that 2.5 style waking crankbait, where I'm fishing it. I want it to go subsurface. So I have to fish it at a medium fast pace in order to keep it um, either bulging or swimming subsurface. Otherwise, if you're just slow or medium retrieving it, it'll stay on top of the water and wake. And I don't prefer that with the 2.5 wake bait from Strike King. I want it to dive a little bit. And then the rat, it gets really loud. I kind of like the slow, methodical click, 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 click on a very slow style retrieve. That thing will just knock as it's kind of working its way back to you. But if you start to retrieve it at like a legit medium speed, then it's moving faster than looks normal. And I find that I don't get bit nearly as much throwing a rat and swimming it faster. Um, I go slower than that. Brendan, that's a good question. Your face was on my phone. Um, why was that? Oh, it's because I jumped on Instagram. This was the most recent thing in our chain, dude. was your ship from last night. So I thought about sending you guys a message on there tonight to let you know that I was going to hop on. Decided not to, but sorry if it seemed creepy, dude. That's hilarious. Love you a good buzz bait. Yeah. And Robin, you're right. The rat lure, especially that one, has done some big things for me. So now I will say, speaking of, I lost my Whopper Plopper 110 that night. I was throwing like 50-pound braid and backlash and shing, sent that thing a while in the dark. I turn on my headlamp trying to find it so that maybe I could cast another lure out and like try and catch it. Was impossible to find. I was paralleling some cattails. I couldn't see it because it was probably 50 yards away. Like it sailed in the air, and that was like one of my original topwater killer baits. Was that 110 sized loon colored whopper plopper. Now the whopper plopper has not been like a super productive bait for me in the last couple of years, so it doesn't really hurt my feelings in the way of like, oh, me needing to have that bait to throw it again. It was just the sentimental value of like, oh man, that was one of those baits that it meant a lot to me in terms of catching some really big fish and developing a lot of confidence for me in that lure. And yeah, I don't know. It just sad to lose a relatively meaningful bait. It's not about the value monetarily, it's about the sentimental value for sure. So that was shitty, but it happens, right? I mean, I've got that loon color in all of the Whopper Plopper sizes, and it was that 110 that was the most productive for me, had caught the biggest fish, um, most of the biggest fish. And yeah, it happens. All right, guys, I'm gonna go pee real quick. I'll be right back. You guys hang tight. I don't think I'm even gonna mute it. I'll just be right back. Brendan's still at the rodeo. Why don't you guys chat to Brendan? Matt's at work. Frank's at work. Ya vengo. I'm coming. What's up, y'all? Wonder if you guys could hear the toilet flush. probably. Ooh, Brendan cursing now. Yeah, I tried doing that a little bit, but didn't get bit on it, Matt. So they just wanted it swam very slow. They wanted it clacking. Um, and I had a couple of them eat it when I would kill it for a second, but otherwise they were all eating it on a slow swim. But the wake bait, that 2.5 size wake bait, they were eating it on a fast retrieve the night before. So that's why I ended up mixing it up the second night and did catch, I think, 2 or 3 fish on that bait. But I was having battery issues with my headlamp, and so could not take photos of every fish that I caught. But I needed to see on the second night where I was going. So I ended up having to use my phone flashlight to remove the batteries and replace them, try to confuse it, and kind of like you do with your printer, where you take the ink cartridge out when it's running low, shake it a little bit, put it back in, and it might work to print a few more pages. Had to do that with the battery in the headlamp, but always unfortunate when you never know that it's running out, and it does. Well, I'm glad that you enjoy the view of the bait wall. Um, yeah, I want to continue to mix it up and show you guys different soft plastic baits as well. But do you guys have any questions or anything specific that you want to talk about for the rest of the evening? It is officially becoming fall, so now's the time where things kind of blow open in terms of what you can throw, and you just got to pay attention to the conditions in terms of weather, light, and wind to dictate what you ought to throw. But now's the time to really open it up and throw whatever it is that you want to throw or want to get experience with. I mean, you can throw a swim bait, you can throw a jerk bait, you can throw all sorts of top waters, you can throw crankbaits. Um, and pretty much all moving baits will work tremendously well this time of year, but um, I don't even quite know like what's on the top of my list of what I want to throw. A swim jig can work most hours of the day, but Kyle, top 3 rats that work best for your bucks. So I'm not a huge rat fisherman. I throw the Spro rats more than anything. That is like the main rat that I have, aside from the Savage Gear rat. Both of those are definitely good, like bang for your buck type of rats. Um, but I would recommend the Spro as the best entry level or bang for your buck type of rat. It has done me very well, especially in the 30 and 40 sizes. The 40 size has been the biggest producer for me by a long shot. The 50 is really big and almost does require a smaller swim bait setup, or at least that you throw it on a frogging setup or something that is definitely a heavy power. But the 40, you can bridge the gap between a medium heavy and a heavy. I still prefer a heavy, but you don't need a swim bait setup for it. And I find that I get a lot more bites on the 40. So other people in this group might be able to answer that question better than me, like Matt or Brendan, in terms of best rats for the money. Now, don't be talking about a PB rat or something that's well over $100, but what other rats might you throw that are in that, I don't know, $20 to $60 price point? because rats are swim baits essentially and do get expensive pretty quickly. But best bang for your buck, I would just go with the Spro personally, because that's where my experience lies and where I've had a lot of success. It's got a good rattle in it, and it's got a good action as well. So that is my answer to that question, Kyle. But sorry if it's not ideal. Well, here you go. Clayt Baits Water Vole, the Rat Benny from Thunderhawk, and the Looney Bait Co. Cheese Rat. And the Trap Bass Rat is a good one too. So the Rat Benny is tiny though, right? Isn't it just a little dude, like a single hook type of rat? It's more of a mouse style bait. Dude, Kyle, it's not fall in your region. 90 degrees until end of October. That is crazy. Let me show you what it looks like here in Colorado. It is changing fast for us and seemingly overnight. So this is what the weather looks like. Today was 84 degrees, but tomorrow is going to be a high of 74, a low of 53, and it's only going to stay like that the rest of the week. So I don't know if it's just a cold front situation or if the season is actually changing, but we're going to have highs in the 60s a lot of next week. We're going to get some rain, but the lows are dropping and the highs are dropping. So that's going to make a big difference for sure. And the fish are going to get active very quickly. And I'm going to have about a month to 2 month window of fishing being really good before then it shuts off hard. So bring on fall. I want to catch some bigger fish. I am with you, Brendan, 1000%. Midwest Fisherman says, what is the first summer lure you yank out of your lineup when fall transition arrives? Good question. I would say usually it's a popper or a frog, because those are very traditional summer lures for me, where I am chasing fish that are tucked tight to cover and will only come out when they see the opportunity and can't make up their mind. But they're not going to leave where they are, right? So they'll just come out to grab something and go right back. And so they're not chasing, but a frog or a popper are the main two that in the summer I have to fish because the fish are tucked so tight. And so I need to be fishing right on a piece of cover or on top of cheesy stuff, because the grass and the weeds have grown so high that it's out of necessity, right? So I'm fishing in tighter areas and the fish will not move and I can't access them otherwise. But once it gets to fall, the grass starts to die down and the fish do not hug that cover nearly as aggressively. So those are probably the first two, but I'm still going to fish a popper in high percentage areas for, I don't know, the next few weeks at least. Great Lakes moving into that fall transition already. Nice. That's a good point. So would you glue it to the back of the bait, or would you put it on the back treble hook, or how are you putting a trick worm on the back of a waking crankbait? Brendan, I don't know about that bait, but I would be open to it. So please do hit me up. I'd be willing to trade you and actually send you something. I know I owe you a couple things, but let me know. Wait, the Rat Benny is an ounce? Is that a fact? I'm a Roomba with a spring in the back with a trick worm makes a great rat. Nice. Brendan, you're right. Spro is such a good one. Yeah, as I said, the 40 is my deal. I don't know that I have any sitting right here to show you in the 40 size, but the 30 is probably my next most productive. And it's a lightweight one, right? This dude is only half an ounce. So little guy at like 3.5 inches of body plus the tail. But this little guy gets bit really well. And as you can hear, it has a higher pitch rattle. If I could get these, well, I can't make the hooks quiet down, but all the Spro Rats have a really good knock to them when the body hits itself. Very good. Probably the best bang for the buck. It is nice. In fact, it's nice to get lower than 80-degree temps. I'll say that. Yeah, kind of got to go off the frogs. For me here in Colorado, it's a very narrow window that is like a month, maybe upwards of 2 months that a frog is really in play. And so I always look forward to that time, but sometimes I'm not paying close enough attention. And so that window gets even tighter for me. A hybrid hunter with a trick worm on the back, huh? Now, where do you tie it on or glue it on or hook it on? With a center pin like what's on a Swimbait EWG hook. So you're putting it on the rear treble. I mean, what? Do tell. You're just putting it on this back tie here. Interesting. I wish I had a centering pin on me. I don't think I do. Although I do have a flashy swimmer and could take this right off of here and do a little demonstration. Let's try it out. Now, this is not a color that I have the most confidence in, but let's just say I was going to do it. Can I get this on there without actually getting the split ring involved? Boom. Oh, baby. Do I have a trick worm? Calling all trick worms. Or finesse worms. Where you at? Well, let's just grab a finesse worm. I think that's probably the better move. Although that's still too much body. What if we trim this bad boy down? We're just playing around. And I don't even know if for sure this is what Matt said, but we're going to try it out. We're going to take a look at what it looks like. All right. So that is the finished product. Got the Striking Hybrid Hunter with a Morning Dawn finesse worm trimmed down to about 3.5 or 4 inches. And swimming, this thing will trail behind the bait. This back hook will ride up with it, maybe even hook the bait, but if you wanted to, you could tuck one point of the hook into the bait and it wouldn't be the craziest thing. That's an interesting concept and one that I have not considered before, but I super appreciate the modification. Interesting. Very, very interesting. Thank you for that. The Rat Benny is 6 inches. Well, that's got to be including the tail, right? I mean, it's a small bait, but a 1/2 ounce, right? I do too, JP. I don't throw the Hybrid Hunter quite as much as I should, or the Axle, or what's the Axis? No. The Swank. The Swank. Swank 66 is my preferred size over the Swank 77. The Hybrid Hunter Junior is my preferred size over the Hybrid Hunter. I just prefer that 1/2 ounce, 2.5 inch body over the 3 inch and like 1 ounce body. But if you threw the bigger size with that tail, that could be the deal, right? Very interesting concept that I had not considered until just now. Thank you very much. And don't we all need more time to fish, JP? Yeah, Bruce, the tiny rat, I have not had as much success on, nor do I have the confidence in, right? I mean, it sure is cute, but it's more of a mouse bait than a rat. This is like the 25 size. It's like bordering on, I mean, it's not BFS, but it's a little baby. I'm sure it works, but I have not fished it more than a couple of times. Now it does look like I've got bit on it a couple of times, but I almost don't remember it because I've had so much success on the 40 and even the 30 that I don't know. Yep, that's probably a smart idea for this time of year, but you also need to just get separate boxes. I assume you have separate boxes, but you're organizing your suspending jerkbait box. Yeah, I've got a couple of them here. And it's about that time to start whipping them out, you know, and I'm actually excited to try the Megabass Q-Go jerkbait, see what it's about, but I don't know how much use it'll get this fall or not. On the hanger or the split ring, you prefer the hanger. Got it. Yeah, you got to trim it way down. This might even be a little bit long, but I think it's serviceable with how much it'll be wiggling in the water. I don't think that's absurd for it to be as long or a little bit longer than the bait. So, the trick worm, you could get two tails out of it. The finesse worm, you can't. This is all that I trimmed off of it. Yeah, it's probably true, but Todd, who cares? Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I agree, man. Especially when you look at some of the Sixth Sense colors that exist. It, they've got like 3 or 4 bluegill colors. Some of them are just so gorgeous looking that makes it too tempting to buy the Swank instead of the Hybrid Hunter. And if Jermaine were in here, he would say, "Why would you ever buy a Hybrid Hunter when you could just buy the Swank?" But yeah, baby -1 plus. Wait, why did I see plus in there? Man's baby -1, baby 1 minus. Yep, I think a lot of people remember it. I never threw it. I was not into the game early enough, um, but have only heard good things. I just don't really have a need for it these days. But I do think a subsurface, super shallow diving crankbait has its time and place for sure. It's just another one of those things that like I end up missing the boat on a little bit due to timing. It's a pretty narrow window of time where it excels, at least for me. Although I'm sure for a lot of the summer and fall, it can be a killer bait in a lot of places. Yeah, we're not going to get a patent, but I would not be surprised if that happens. Dude, I never got the BuzzJet or BuzzJet Junior. I was just looking at those pretty hard and never pulled the trigger. So, nope, don't even own them. Brendan, no worries. I am jealous that you're fishing tomorrow. My 2-year-old son was begging me to go fishing tomorrow, but I'm going to hang out with my baby nephew, and then my daughters have soccer. So I've got a busy day, and the Broncos are playing after that. So um, no fishing for me tomorrow. My son's going to be upset, most likely. I'll wake him up in the morning. He'll say, "We going fishing?" And I'm going to have to tell him, "No, I don't think that's going to work." And he'll probably have a meltdown at 7 in the morning tomorrow, but comes with the territory. So have a great rest of your night, Brendan. Thank you for stopping by. Appreciate it. JP is stocked up on the baby 1 minus. Nice, dude. That's awesome. No, I did not. I mean, I know that he is. And in fact, he's stopped at Discount Tackle in Denver once or twice. So not surprised to hear that. But yeah, he seems like a cool guy for sure. Let me try and catch up on these comments. D's tackle. I don't know. Well, yeah, Bruce. I mean, that's a hell of a deal. Spro Fat John 50. That is one that I have not tried either, but I'm sure it's a good bait. I mean, all of the John series of crankbaits are pretty awesome. Yeah, I remember JP saying that he's never done great with the buzz jet. I think this is the time of year, or maybe depending on where you live, in the next month or two, where you ought to try throwing it on a slower retrieve and seeing how it goes, right? Let that propeller do its work. Let the action of the bait as it wants to roll do its work, and the rattle inside um, do something unique, right? Don't fish it too fast. There are a lot of baits that are out there that are top water baits meant to be fished slow, or that maybe the fish just want it slow that day. Um, so I would always recommend mixing up your retrieve. I don't think it's as much about the bait as it is the way that you fish it. So that might be an interesting note to end the stream on tonight. Any last minute questions before I get out of here? I'm hoping to be on here a little bit more regularly moving forward, but my wife just went back to work after her surgery last month, and things are starting to heat up in our lives and get busier. So we will see how that goes. But, as I go fishing and have success on the water, as I get new packages in the mail, I am always more motivated to get on here and hang out with you guys. So you might not see me as active on social media, but I will be on here as I am available to do so. And you guys always see me jumping in and at least saying hi in other live streams and stuff like that. So thank you for joining me tonight. Hope you have a great rest of your weekend. Go Broncos tomorrow. Not that any of you guys are Broncos fans, but good luck out on the water. Do experiment with new things. Try baits that you haven't before. Try techniques that you haven't before. Because now's the time where you can catch them on a wider variety of stuff and mix up your retrieves and learn more than you have before. This is one of the more forgiving times of year. And of course, if you're trying to hunt down a new PB, throw something bigger than what you have before. Um, really expand your horizons and try new things, and challenge yourself and go catch some good fish. And I will see you in the next one. If you haven't already, hit that thumbs up button. Make sure you're subscribed to the channel. I'll see you again very soon. Thanks for the support, guys. Appreciate it.